प्रेम मुदित मनसे कहो राम राम राम, श्री राम राम राम, श्री राम राम राम। प्रेम मुदित मनसे कहो राम राम राम, श्री राम राम राम, श्री राम राम राम। प्रेम मुदित मनसे कहो राम राम राम। Ram 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 Raghuram, Ram 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 Jaya Ram, Ram 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 Raghuram, Ram 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 Jaya Ram. Oh Rama nila megha shyama, oh Rama nila megha shyama, oh Rama nila megha shyama, kodanda Rama, Rama nila megha shyama, kodanda Rama, Raghukula Visoma Parandhama Sarvabhauma, nila megha shyama. Raghu Ram 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 Raghu Ram, Jaya Ram 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 Jaya Ram, Raghu Ram 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 Raghu Ram, Jaya Ram 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 Jaya Ram. Talli Tandri Guruvu Nive, Talli Tandri Guruvu Nive, Todu Nida Nive, Talli Tandri Guruvu Nive, Todu Nida Nive, Sharaniyalla Palana Chese, Paranjodive, Tagu Ik Kalanu Ramaya, Dasalanu Brovakaraveya, Tagu Ik Kalanu Ramaya, Dasalanu Brovakaraveya, Teliya Tarava, Paluka Vashama, Nidu Maima Raghava, Teliya Tarava, Paluka Vashama, Nidu Maima Raghava. Oh Rama nila megha shyama, kodanda Rama, Raghukula Visoma Parandhama Sarvabhauma, nila megha shyama. Raghu Ram 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 Raghu Ram, Jaya Ram 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 Jaya Ram, Raghu Ram 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 Raghu Ram, Jaya Ram 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 Jaya Ram. Ratri naina nadini chese ni divya padamo, Ratri naina nadini chese ni divya padamo, Koti naina jnanini chese ni namamu, Nidu sari devamulevaya, Ninnule nammiti Ramayya, Nidu sari devamulevaya, Ninnule nammiti Ramayya, Nidu sharanam papaharanam maku charanam Raghava, Nidu sharanam papaharanam maku charanam Raghava. Oh Rama nila megha shyama, oh Rama nila megha shyama, kodanda Rama, Raghukula Visoma Parandhama Sarvabhauma, nila megha shyama. Raghu Ram 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 Raghu Ram, Jaya Ram 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 Jaya Ram, Raghu Ram 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 Raghu Ram, Jaya Ram 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 Jaya 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 Ram.
Om Shri Rama Krishna Bhagavan ki jai, Pavana Sutta Hanuman ki jai, Shri Ambe Ambe Mata ki jai, Shri Syavar Ramachandra ki jai. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram
offer my salutations to Sri Ram, a veritable moon in giving delight, a haven of safety, all-knowing, the chief of the Raghus, the lord of Sītā, and master of all. Revered Pravrajika Ishtaprana Mataji, and dear devotees of Sri Ram, Aum Namo Narayanaya. The Ramayana is one of the most significant Hindu epics that details the life of Sri Ram, Mother Sītā, Hanumanji, Ravan, and many other exciting people. All these characters, whether good or bad, teach us something in one way or another that we can still apply today. Sri Ram was the perfect example of how we should live, while Ravan was the perfect example of how we shouldn't. Hanumanji displayed strength, while Mother Sītā showed us endurance. Therefore, we can see that these characters teach us about life and almost all it entails. When Sri Ram was banished from Ayodhya for 14 years, Lakshman and Mother Sītā went along with him. And while this may have been terrible at that moment, it was actually beneficial to so many people along the way. By going to the forest, Sri Ram was able to destroy Ravan. He came to the aid of Sugriv and met one of his greatest devotees, Hanumanji. Ahalya was blessed when Sri Ram liberated her, just by the dust of his feet. Kevat, the boatman, had the rare opportunity of serving Sri Ram, and Shabari also got liberation by having the darshan, or vision, of Sri Ram. All of these incidents would not have been possible if Sri Ram did not go to the forest. In ancient times, boatmen were needed to help people across rivers and lakes. It is believed that there once was a tortoise who wandered about Vishnu Lok, searching for his divine master. He had been attracted to the lotus feet of Lord Narayan and eventually found Vishnu Bhagwan resting on Sheshnag, the thousand-hooded serpent. However, despite many attempts to climb the snake, the tortoise could not reach Lord Vishnu's feet. As he lay dying, the burden of not fulfilling his life goal was more crushing to him than the weight of his shell. He wished he was able to touch the lotus feet of the Lord. Since this was his last thought, he was reincarnated as Kevat, a boatman during the age of truth, the age of Sri Ram. Kevat was a simple man who lived in a small village near the Kosala border. Despite not having a formal education, he was very intelligent, humble, and devoted to God. He performed his work sincerely and took great pride in his boat's appearance and functionality, since it was his source of income. In this way, Kevat was able to provide for his family and the nearby community. He did not limit his services to those he knew, but assisted wanderers and strangers too. When Sri Ram, Lakshman, and Mother Sītā came to this village, they needed to cross the river Ganges. On arrival, they were greeted by Kevat, who immediately recognized Sri Ram as Lord Narayan. He felt an innate desire to touch the Lord's feet, and when Sri Ram requested passage across the Ganga, Kevat was overjoyed. He had heard about the dust of Sri Ram's feet, which was able to turn a stone into a woman. If Sri Ram were to enter his boat, surely the dust from the lotus feet of the Lord would do the same. So, Kevat explained to Sri Ram that he needed to wash the Lord's feet so that his boat would not be transformed into a woman. Sri Ram heartily agreed, and thus Kevat was able to attain his life's goal. As he washed Sri Ram's feet, a blissful atmosphere was set at the edge of the forest. Kevat then transported Sri Ram, Mother Sītā, and Lakshman across the river, and once they reached the other side, Sri Ram inquired about the payment due. Kevat told Sri Ram that no amount was necessary, for Sri Ram and Kevat were in similar professions. Just as a barber does not require payment from another barber, Kevat explained that ferrymen abide by that same law. Kevat said, "I am a simple boatman who has ferried you across this small river, yet you will ferry us across samsara, that is, the cycle of births and deaths, through our life's journey until we realize you." Sri Ram smiled at Kevat's words and embraced him before proceeding into the forest. Kevat knew that Sri Ram was still with him in spirit, ferrying him towards liberation. The days in the forest passed by pleasantly at first, for Sri Ram, Mother Sītā, and Lakshman treated their exile as a pilgrimage. After visiting holy places like Prayag and Chitrakoot, they eventually settled in Panchavati. It was here that Surpanaka, Ravan's sister, spotted Sri Ram and wished to marry him. After being politely rejected, Surpanaka rushed forward to attack Mother Sītā. Lakshman acted quickly and chopped off Surpanaka's nose. Humiliated, Surpanaka sought the help of her brothers, Khar and Dushan, who were both then destroyed by Sri Ram. Surpanaka fled to Lanka, narrating what had transpired to Ravan. It was then that Ravan initiated a plan with the demon Maharaj to kidnap Mother Sītā. After the kidnapping of Mother Sītā, Sri Ram and Lakshman searched everywhere for her. Sri Ram was heartbroken, thinking only of the pain and suffering Mother Sītā was enduring. It was at this darkest hour that Sri Ram met Shabari. Shabari was born in a hunting tribe known as the Shabaras. From a young age, she served a great sage called Matanga. They lived in an ashram on the banks of the Pampa lake. The spiritual vibrations here enabled all creatures to live in harmony. Nature provided endless sustenance, and the peaceful atmosphere enabled Shabari to progress Godward. Many years passed in this serene atmosphere, and Sage Matanga grew old and weary. He knew that his time had come to leave the earth. He told Shabari that she should tend to the hermitage until Sri Ram came to see her. After Sage Matanga's final liberation, Shabari stayed alone, waiting for Sri Ram. Every day she would sweep the courtyard, decorate the pathway with fresh flowers, and pick ripe fruit for her lord. She did her utmost to ensure that everything was perfect for Sri Ram's arrival. This routine went on for several years, yet Shabari never lost hope and performed her duties with the same eagerness that she had on the first day. One day, as she finished laying fresh flowers to cover the jagged path, she noticed the most beautiful pair of feet standing before her. She looked up, and joy filled every pore in her body, for Sri Ram stood there, smiling graciously at her. Shabari lovingly invited Sri Ram and Lakshman into the hermitage to partake of the fresh berries she had just picked. Shabari was filled with such devotion that she tasted every berry to ensure its sweetness before offering it to the Lord. Lakshman was horrified by this, yet Sri Ram understood Shabari's devotion. The Lord explained that Shabari possessed all 9 forms of devotion. The first is in keeping holy company, which Shabari had done by serving sage matanga. The second is having a fondness for the Lord. Shabari had decorated the hermitage every day without fail, hence displayed her affection for Sri Ram. The third form of devotion is to serve holy people. For most of her life, Shabari served sage matanga dutifully. The fourth form of devotion is being unselfish. Shabari showed her unselfishness by living in isolation to fulfill sage matanga's last wish. The fifth form of devotion is the faithful repetition of God's name, which she did when she performed her duties, fixing her mind on God and repeating Sri Ram's name. The sixth form of devotion entails self-control, virtuous qualities, and being engaged in beneficial activities. The entire lifestyle that Shabari had adopted in the hermitage displayed this aspect. The seventh type of devotion is looking upon everything as a manifestation of the Lord, without any distinction between high and low. Shabari had attained this steady-mindedness, seeing God in all. The eighth is having satisfaction and contentment with whatever you have. Shabari lived by herself, and the serene environment provided all she needed to live a spiritual life. For Shabari, having God meant having everything. The final form of devotion described by Sri Ram is implicit faith and cheerfulness. Shabari could have left the ashram at will at any time, but she stayed because of her faith in the words of her guru, sage Matanga. She had no doubt that Sri Ram would visit her. Thus, Kevat and Shabari teach us valuable lessons in patience and faith. Sometimes our yearnings, even if righteous, take time to be fulfilled. Shabari and Kevat literally waited a lifetime to attain their goals, yet they only shared in a part of Sri Ram's journey. But God is constantly with us on our life's journey. He ferries us not just at our life's beginning and end, but also during the time in between. And eventually, when we have been patient enough, true realization comes to us. During this auspicious celebration, may our devotion to Sri Ram increase 1,000-fold. Jai Sri Ram.
Nanya Raghupate Hridaye Asmadiye Satyam Vadami Cha Bhavan Akhilantaratma Bhaktim Prayacha Raghupungava Nirbharame Kamadidosharahitam Gurumanasam Cha Om Shri Sītā Lakshmana Bharata Shatrughna Hanumat Sameta Shri Ramachandra Parabrahmane Namaha Sītā harana tāta jani kahahu pitā san jai जो में रामत कुल सहित कही दसानन आई श्री श्यावर रामचंद्र की जय श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम लोचन बहुपट पीत अनूपा श्याम गात विशाल भुजचारी स्तुति करत नयन भरी भारी श्री राम जय जय राम 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 श्री राम जय राम जय राम रूप अनूप निर्गुण सगुण गुण प्रेरक सही दस शीस बाहु प्रचंड खंडन चंड सर मंडन मही पाठोदगात सरोज मुख राजीव आयत लोचनम नितनौमि राम कृपाल बाहु विशाल भव भय मोचनम बलम अप्रमेयम अनादिम अव्यक्तमेकम गोचरम गोविंद गोपर द्वंद्वहर विज्ञान घन धरणीधरम जे राम मंत्र जपंत संत अनंत जन मनोरंजनम नितनौमि राम अकाम प्रिय कामादिखलदल गंजनम जेहि श्रुति निरंजन ब्रह्म व्यापक विरज अज कहि गावहि करि ध्यान ज्ञान विराग लोचन अनेक मुनि जेहि पावहि सो प्रगट करुणा कंद शोभा वृंद अगज गमोहहि मम हृदय पंकज भृंग अंग अनंग बहु छवि सोहहि जो अगम सुगम सुभाग निर्मल असम सम शीतल सदा पश्यन्ति जम करि करत मन गो बस सदा सो राम रमा निवास संतत दास बस त्रिभुवन धनी मम उर बसौ सो समन संस्कृति जासु कीरति पावनी
अविरल भगति मागी बर गीत गयो हरिधाम तेहि की क्रिया जथोचित निज कर कीन्ही राम
श्री सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। दीन दयाल दीन दयाल दीन दयाल हरि दीन दयाल दीन दयाल दीन दयाल दीन दयाल हरि दीन दयाल कोमल चित अति दीन दयाला कारण बिनु रघुनाथ कृपाला दीर्घ अधम खग आमिष भोगी गति दीनी जो जाचत जोगी दीन दयाल दीन दयाल दीन दयाल हरि दीन दयाल सुनहु उमा
लागी, हरित जी होहि विषय अनुरागी। पुनि सीतहि खोजत दो भाई, चले बिलोकत बन बहुताई। दीन दयाल दीन दयाल दीन दयाल हरि दीन दयाल। संकुल लता बिटप घन कानन, बहु खग मृगत गज पंचानन। आवत पंथ कबंध निपाता, तेहि सब कही साप के बाता। दीन दयाल दीन दयाल दीन दयाल हरि दीन दयाल। दुर्वासा मोहि दीन्हि सापा, प्रभु पद पेखि मिटा सो पापा। सुनु गंधर्व कहु मैं तोहि, मोहि न सोहाई ब्रह्म कुल द्रोही। दीन दयाल दीन दयाल दीन दयाल हरि दीन दयाल। दीन दयाल दीन दयाल दीन दयाल हरि दीन दयाल। दीन दयाल दीन दयाल दीन दयाल हरि दीन दयाल। मन क्रम बचन कपट तजी, जो कर भूसुर सेवा। मोहि समेत बिरंचि सिवा, बसता के सब देव। श्री सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। श्री अम्बे अम्बे मात की जय।
ओम जय जगदीश हरे, स्वामी जय जगदीश हरे। भक्त जनों के संगत, भक्त जनों के संगत, क्षण में दूर करे। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। जो ध्यावे फल पावे, दुख विनशे मन का। स्वामी दुख विनशे मन का। सुख संपत्ति घर आवे, सुख संपत्ति घर आवे। कष्ट मिटे तन का। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। मात पिता तुम मेरे, शरण गहूँ किसकी। स्वामी शरण गहूँ किसकी। तुम बिना और न दूजा, तुम बिना और न दूजा। आस करो जिसकी। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। तुम पूर्ण परमात्मा, तुम अंतर्यामी। स्वामी तुम अंतर्यामी। पार ब्रह्म परमेश्वर, पार ब्रह्म परमेश्वर। तुम सबके स्वामी। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। तुम करुणा के सागर, तुम पालन करता। स्वामी तुम पालन करता। मैं सेवक तुम स्वामी, तुम स्वामी कृपा करो भरता ओम जय जगदीश हरे तुम हो एक अगोचर सबके प्राणपति स्वामी सबके प्राणपति विस विघ्न मिलो दया में विस विघ्न मिलो दया में तुमको मैं कुमति ओम जय जगदीश हरे दीन बंधु दुख हरता तुम रक्षक मेरे स्वामी तुम रक्षक मेरे करुणा हस्त बढ़ाओ करुणा हस्त बढ़ाओ शरण पड़ा तेरे ओम जय जगदीश हरे विषय विकार मिटाओ पाप हरो देवा स्वामी पाप हरो देवा श्रद्धा भक्ति बढ़ाओ श्रद्धा भक्ति बढ़ाओ संतन की सेवा ओम जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी जय जगदीश हरे भक्त जनों के संकट भक्त जनों के संकट क्षण में दूर करे ओम जय जगदीश हरे
Aum Namo Narayanaya, dear sisters and brothers. We are blessed to be able to listen to the chanting of the Ramayana, which is very inspiring. Sri Ram gave liberation to Jatayu, the blessed vulture who gave up his life trying to save Mother Sītā from the hands of Ravan. The enchanting verses in praise of Sri Ram help to increase our devotion to the Lord. It says, Sri Ram is ever ready to help his devotees. I incessantly adore the all-merciful Sri Ram, who is most tender-hearted and compassionate to the humble and showers his grace on all. May Sri Ram always abide in our hearts and protect us. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Om Sarvesham Swastirabhavatu Sarvesham Shantirabhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj ki Jai, Mahamai ki Jai, Swami Ji Maharaj ki Jai, Ganga Mat ki Jai, Mahavir Swami Ji ki Jai, Sarva Rishi Muniyon ki Jai.